Alexander. Thank you so much for joining us again. Inspiration with Troy Alexander on Hamilton Radio. I'm so excited to be back with you one more time. Listen, it's been an amazing week. I'm telling you from beginning to listen, this show is about encouraging you to dream, take that step, and walk with purpose into your destiny. This is what this show is all about. Listen, and all I'm trying to do is be an example to somebody to let them know, listen, you can do this no matter what education level, no matter what experience, no matter what. Listen, it's about believing, and when you put all those pieces together, it brings you to a place that sets you in a place that is destined for your life, your calling, your purpose. I'm telling you right now. So I just need you to be encouraged today and to let you know that dreams still do come true. I got a few things. Listen, this past week, I did this weekend, I did 4 photo shoots, y'all. Y'all know I take pictures, so y'all can follow me on Instagram at Pick by Design and on the website, picturesbydesign.smugmug.com. Listen, 4 photo shoots this weekend alone. It was 10 plus hours of shooting. It was an amazing experience. And I'm telling you, when you are walking in your path, walking in your calling, listen, it gives you energy, it gives you joy, gives you expectation. I'm telling you, it was wonderful. And I can't wait to show you the process, because I love process about how we got from one point to another point. But listen, we had the launch last week of our Dreamers Club, the mentoring initiative to encourage and inspire everybody of all ages to let them know that your dream can come true. One-on-one mentoring, yes, with me. I'm telling you, where else could you? And all I'm trying to do is we're going to get there together, y'all. It's about helping each other and letting each other know that you're not in this by yourself. I'm here to let you know you can do this. I told you I was a young man that didn't have a show. We've been almost 56, 57 shows. I'm telling you. But look at me now. This is about something where it's about a determination. It's about a press. And let me just say this, taking advantage of every opportunity that comes your way. So I'm excited, y'all, about what's to come. We launched our Dreamers Directory, y'all. If you have a business, if you're an entrepreneur within the New Jersey, tri-state area, Pennsylvania, New York, listen, email me the information, and we'll put it in our Dreamers Directory, promoting dreamers, encouraging dreamers. Listen, we are here to support each other, to encourage each other, to let everybody know, listen, your dream can come true. I'm telling you, no matter what age you are, no matter what experience you have or don't have, it's about a determination to go get what belongs to you. I'm telling you, I'm excited tonight for you. We have an amazing guest that's going to call in a few moments. But listen, we're getting ready to celebrate our 1-year anniversary, y'all, right here on Hamilton Radio, October 5th. Listen, if you're available, we'd love to have you come, love to have you be a part of the show. It's an experience to celebrate dreamers. And so listen, October 5th at the E Hotel Banquet and Conference Center in Edison, New Jersey, Raritan Center. So listen, I believe it's 1073 King George's Post Road in Edison, New Jersey. It's going to be an amazing experience. There's going to be a mini fashion show, buffet breakfast. Many guests from our show are coming to share some inspiring words you don't want to miss. It's $30. You must RSVP by September 15th. So again, let us know if you're coming out. It's going to be an amazing day of dreamers, of coming out to inspire you to dream. Listen, so much more has happened. I did a photo event this weekend to support young people. There's special needs young people that were removed from their prom. Yes, if you can believe, they were removed for some reasoning. The school moved them from their prom and took them out of their prom. But this young lady, and I'm going to talk more about it, her name is Kathy Lyons Hutton. She owns the New York City Glitz, and it's a store in Pine Beach, New Jersey. And they sell prom dresses, amazing dresses. And she took these special needs these 5 young ladies and the 1 young man and dressed them up and gave them their own prom day. It was beautiful. And I was the photographer. So listen, I'm going to share the link on Facebook, but it was a wonderful article done by Patch. And the amazing article talks about how they had their hair done, their makeup done. It was their own personal prom day, and it was an honor to be a part of it. I'm telling you, it's an amazing experience, and I'm going to talk more about that, but we're getting ready for our guest to call in shortly. But y'all listen, I'm telling you, there is so much that is in store for your life, but I need you not to give up on you, not to give up on your dreams, not to give up on your purpose, your calling, And I'm here to let you know that, listen, if you have a desire in your heart and a press and a willingness to go, you're going to get there. And I'm willing there to help you get this show, Inspiration with Troy Alexander, every week, comes on every Monday to inspire you to believe that dreams do come true. Listen, I told you I was a young man who couldn't talk as a child. But I said, now every opportunity that I get, I'm going to open my mouth and declare that, listen, you can do this. Yes, they told me I wouldn't go to college. But now I sit here with 3 degrees, 2 masters. I'm telling you, it can happen. But you got to make up in your mind to dismiss all of the naysayers, everything that comes up against you. I'm telling you, put your mindset and connect yourself with people and places that are going places. And if you're not there, if that's where you want to get to, connect yourself with somebody that's already there. And I'm telling you, we're going to get there together, y'all. This is Hamilton Radio. I'm excited tonight about all that's taking place. We're getting ready for our wonderful guest that's going to be calling in a few moments. But I'm telling you, don't give up on your dreams. This October 5th is not about Troy. It's about a celebration of dreams, about believing and bringing people that have achieved amazing achievement, one who did not think they could, but now they're standing on the top, and they have declared that, yes, not only did I get that dream, but I'm still dreaming. Don't keep on dreaming, and don't ever give up on your dreams. So I'm here tonight to encourage you and let you know, listen, there is more out there for you. Yes, I heard I'm not going to make it. I heard you won't be nothing. I heard all of that. But I'm telling you right now, make up in your mind that you are going to be whatever it is you set your mind to be. And I'm so excited about everything that's taking place. I'm getting ready, y'all, for something. I'm grateful for Hamilton Radio. I'm so grateful for this platform to be able to inspire you and let you know you can do this. Listen, my photo was used by the amazing Sheffic. I mean, he's in social media. He's all over. But he was gifted knighthood by Prince Garrios. And our photo from Shop Sell Strut. It was an annual fashion show to help and help to raise. And hold on one second. Our guest is calling the wrong number. Hold on one second. Oh, my goodness. Hi, Jason. How are you, sir? No, it's the 609-807-2492 number.
Yeah, I call. It keeps on ringing. I call for life.
All right, Ruben, our guest is saying he's calling the 609-807-2492 number, and it keeps on ringing. All right, if you can try it one more time, Jason.
Sure, no problem. Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye, sir. Listen, y'all, you have to, he's calling you right. I'm telling you, you got to be prepared for anything, y'all, because and guess what? It's called life. Life happens, but you got to be able to take life and be able to move forward with it. So I'm excited, and he should be calling in any moment. And listen, not everything you prepare for. Not everything you prepare for. But are we ready, Ruben?
I'm here.
Hi, Jason. How are you, sir?
I'm all right. How are you doing, Troy? How's everything going?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you so much for this honor. Listen, everybody, this is Mr. Jason Swanston. Did I have your name correct, sir?
Of course. Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
No, absolutely. Listen, he is the CEO, I'm telling you, oh my goodness, he's the CEO and Chief Technology Officer of Open Vision Networks International Online Incorporated. And listen, not only that, but this young man, at the age, and we're going to talk all about his journey, but at the age of 13, he was accepted into the Science and Technology Entry Program for Minorities at New York University. And then at the age of 15, he enrolled at Columbia University. And then by the age of 19, he was a respected digital strategist and grassroots marketeer for platinum recording artists and labels such as MCA, Universal Records, DreamWorks, Arista, Bad Boy, Priority. I mean, go down. Jay-Z, P. Diddy, Kanye West, a number of artists. We're so honored to have you, sir. Thank you so much for giving up your time to come on our show to share your amazing journey, and I'm so honored. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much, Troy, for having me. I truly appreciate it. It's an honor to be on your show as well, because people like you, who are, the engineers of the inner workings of today's digital media, is what makes people like myself stay relevant. So I appreciate, being on your show. So thank you.
Thank
I'm
you.
really, really excited.
Awesome. Listen. This show, Jason, is all about just sharing the journeys of others to inspire others to dream, because so many young people or people in general don't have the ability and the permission to dream. I have to ask you, as you were a young man growing up, because as I read your
Hmm.
bio and talked about the influence of your parents, tell me about your environment. What was it about your environment growing up that inspired you to do so much?
Well, my environment was very, very. It was secular, so it was all about education, education, education. It was predominantly predicated around studying past the midnight burning light, so to
Right.
speak. So the average kid at 13 years old would be going to bed at 8 o'clock, and my family unit, grandmother, father, mother, and just the elders in my neighborhood would basically feed me information, and I literally would be staying up after like 8 o'clock all the way to midnight, studying various different subject matters, specifically the sciences, because I was really interested in science. My mother being in data processing and computer engineering, that really took uh, a liking to me, because I love computers, and I was just really enamored at the fact that I can be so creative. And because I had a mathematical understanding of geometry and trig at such an early age, I was able to utilize that. And my family unit just kept impressing upon me to study everything, especially my dad. My dad basically said, "Hey, listen, if it's not nailed down, to the floor, you study it. And if
Wow.
you're going to go into these classrooms, just know that because of the color of your skin,
Mm,
they're going to expect you to know everything."
mm.
And as sure as I'm talking to you, when I got into NYU, and I was the only black in that particular STEM program, I had to know a lot.
Right.
I had to know the answers. So that was basically my upbringing. That was the environment. It was just education and a lot of coffee to keep me up. But I'm thankful.
Awesome. What was that experience like? Now was the Columbia University experience, was that your desire, or was it like a collective? Like how did you end up there?
So the Columbia University, I guess, stint was basically it was college programs that accepted inner city youth that had a specific IQ, that were very smart. And due to the fact that my parents were always looking for various different ways to keep me occupied, due to the fact that I come from Harlem, obviously there's so many different opportunities to get into different things
Right.
that were negative. My family unit was always about the books and education. So in reference to Columbia University, they there was programs that minorities can physically enter, and I got into a couple of programs in which I was able to stay on campus for 2 summers and take college courses. And it was a great experience because I was around kids that were from affluent neighborhoods
Hmm.
that weren't from Harlem. So the conversation was quite different in terms of where are you going for the weekend. I'm going back, to my hood, and they were going to their summer houses,
Wow.
and it was just different. But it was a good experience because I was able to become a chameleon, basically. So when I got into my adult life in terms of dealing with corporate America, I was able to deal with, I guess, the kids that went to Columbia who are now grown ups in technology and banking and finance. So it was a great experience.
Listen, everybody. This is Mr. Jason Swanston, and I'm telling you, this young man was so passionate about his craft, his knowledge, his ability, that at the age of 17, he taught himself the video game coding by going to Barnes and Noble, reading books for hours. Tell me, listen. So you're telling me that at the age of 17, you taught
Hmm.
yourself how to code by going to Barnes
Hmm.
and Noble and reading books.
Right. So yeah. So that's very true. So what technically happened was, my I was on the train, actually, on the number one train coming from Columbia going to back home, and I had ran into my mentor, who's still in my life now. His name is Hayes Stamper. He's in the broadcast technology industry, and he overheard me talking to a friend of mine about geometry, and he invited me to his multimedia studio at the time. They were doing animation for Industrial Light and Magic and all those big movies, Jurassic Park. Long story short, he allowed me to basically play with all of they were called workstations or rendering machines that that allow you to see the CGI graphics that you see now in movies like The Matrix. And so I just basically started to read all of the books and for animation first. And I realized that because I was a gamer, at that time, we had Sega Genesis and PlayStation was pretty big, and we had a lot of PC games. I said, you know what, this is what I want to do. I really want to create my own video games. And we're talking about 1993. We're talking about the Chronic. Dr. Dre was out, so I'm listening to the Chronic, drinking Coca-Cola, eating Cheez-Its, and we didn't have Google back then. There was no Google. There was Netscape Navigator, but it wasn't, search engine technology wasn't really big for the masses. So we had to go, you had to go to libraries, and the biggest library in Manhattan for me that had that type of literature was Barnes and Nobles. And at that time, Barnes and Nobles would allow you to physically read the books, and comb through the books. You can, as long as you didn't damage them, you can read them. Then you could buy them. So I just kept going back over and over, and just picked up books on game coding, and started to create what are called platforms, or TDRs, technical diagnostic references, and on my own. And I created 7 video game platforms, and pitched them to Sony and Activision, and the rest is history.
Jason,
That's what happened.
did you just know, like growing up as a young man, did you just know that you was intelligent? I mean, what? I mean, it must like I'm just imagining you growing up, like, you know what? Yes, I can do this. Like did you know that you were just like that, had that ability to just?
Well, it not really. It took a lot of reassurance from my family unit. My dad, he's a very big influence in my life. I'm having a father figure, and having a black male father figure in those times in the 90s, during the era where there was police brutality and a lot of things were going on in the city. It really helped me a lot to have that strong male figure, and then strong female figures in my family. I come from a long line of mathematicians and scientists from my mother to my father's side. So in terms of intelligence and intellect, I understood that I was kind of smart, but I understood that I still had to study, because I was competing with everyone else outside of my catchment area, outside of Harlem. When I got into Columbia and I went to NYU, it was very scary, 13 years old, but I realized that no one looked like me. But when the professor asked something, I had to know. I just had to know it. So in terms of answering your question, it was I just knew that I didn't really know I was smart. I just knew I was a nerd. And, that's what happens when, you live in the city. You just don't get girls, and everyone just calls you extra smart. And that's how you get to have those labels. But it just never stopped me. What I just basically did was I kept on going. I had the reassurance from my family infrastructure, and it allowed me to build a skin to the point where now I'm here today, and I'm able to physically talk to the youth around the country about, owning it, being comfortable in your own skin. And as my dad would say, not being incarcerated in your own body just because of your surroundings, to be comfortable in your skin and walk with your head held up high, and know that you come from great, you come from kings, you come from queens, and you come from a long lineage of people that are highly intelligent. So that's predominantly it.
Well, listen, we want to applaud your parents and your family, those who were there to support you and to encourage you. I have to ask you though, how did you insulate yourself from, because as a young person, whether it's Harlem or any, how did you shield yourself from all of the negativity that's around you? Because again, you are a young man growing up in Harlem, and so how did you insulate yourself from all of the negativity that was going on around?
Well, that's a good question. um, I just delved into the arts, of science. Video games did help a lot. Fantasizing about creating various different virtual worlds. Just reading a lot. Back in those days, we didn't have social media. We didn't have a cell phone that swiped from top to bottom. So, reading a lot definitely helped me to escape and to keep on creating, and then gain that reassurance from my family infrastructure to keep on being creative and never stop, learning. And so when I would, I witnessed shootouts, I witnessed people get murdered in my, my area, living uptown, you witness a lot of trauma.
Yes.
What I was able, people say that kids that come from that environment have PTSD, and that is so true. A lot of us don't know how to filter that trauma. And so I was able to filter the trauma by seeing a lot of my friends either get shot or beat up by cops, or just a lot of some stuff. I was able to filter it by basically escaping through learning the sciences and the arts and crafts, and basically going outside of my community. And that's how I was able to do it.
Wow, wow, that's powerful. I have to ask you because you were sharing with me, even through your educational experience, you really didn't see anyone else that was like you, that looked like you, so how did you maintain your confidence? How did you? Because I'm sure as you were sharing with us that you had to really know what you knew and be confident enough to sort of share it and go for how where did that confidence come from to be basically an island where you're out there in a classroom or in an environment where you may not see others that look like you but still have the ability to be you?
Well, I have to attribute it to my family unit, especially my dad. Like having strong women in your family does help, but having a strong male figure helped me a lot,
Wonderful.
because seeing my father as strong as he was, and instilling that the color of your skin is what it is, but you must be proud for being who you are. We come from a long line of warriors. We come from a long line of mathematicians, people who are intelligent, and be proud of that. And so by him instilling that in me, and then knowing my history was a big, big, big part of my upbringing. Knowing the various different contributions that African Americans, Africans, and people in the Caribbean basically, contributed to the world, helped me gain the confidence I needed to step into an arena full of Asian kids, full of Caucasian kids that were in the sciences. And I studied and I learned about the great scientists like Imhotep from Egypt, who was a great scientist, a great mathematician. He taught Pythagoras and Aristotle and Plato algebra at the University of Timbuktu. But knowing those historical points of African history, as well as African American history throughout civil rights, really, really instilled the confidence I needed in order to walk in those arenas and be the island, the standalone island, and say, you know what, hey, I have the answer. I know who thought of theory of relativity. Yes, Einstein did think of it. However, there were great African mathematicians and scientists that were doing brain surgery through the nose, and through the Egyptian dynasty eras, when the Greeks came over and quote unquote explored. So that's basically what helped me was understanding who I was and where I came from, and that came from my family unit, and especially it was instilled with my dad to know who I was and be strong and stand on your own 2 feet as a young black man. Because in those environments, we're never children, we're never boys, we're always men. When cops stop us at 13, 14, and 15, I was stopped by cops. I wasn't even a boy. They just saw me as a young man, and I had to act in a way where it got me out of any situation, because that's just the environment we lived in. So that's basically where I got my confidence from.
Wonderful, wonderful. I gotta ask you, you have achieved so many plateaus in your life. I mean, from again your educational journey, to the video game industry, to developing your own video game, which we'll touch upon. But then you became a talent manager. You
Yes.
became again a respected digital strategist and grassroots
Yes.
a marketeer for many platinum recording artists. I have to ask you, at every plateau, did you was there something driving you for more? Because it seems like as I was reading your bio, there was a continuous journey. So it wasn't like you got to one point and you remained there for like an extended period of time. It's like you kept seeking. Like, is that? Do you find that that's something about you innately, that there's always something that you're seeking to want more and to be better or to grow even greater?
Yeah, Troy, that's a great question. No one has ever asked me that, but I just want to commend you on that question right there. But yes, my mind is splintered always because it's mathematical. So I think in fractions, right?
Wow.
And throughout my journeys, as you eloquently said earlier, I'm always looking for the next, just next, the next level of something. And like my dad always says, when you get in the industry, know everything about the industry, learn every single thing about that particular industry if you like it and if it interests you. So when I got into game coding, I learned everything about that particular industry and the inner workings of how it went, especially because I was creating my own platforms. Then when I transitioned from the music industry, working on people's albums and understanding how to deal with artists, especially artists that went platinum, that was that was a journey for me to even just understand the psyche of the types of individuals I was dealing with, especially dealing with rappers that were that were really rich but still had trauma, because
Wow.
they came from
Wow.
the same environments I did. So I knew how to market that type of individual and those types of lyrics, if that makes sense to you.
Yes.
And so when I made a transition from music to film and television, Hollywood to be exact, it was very seamless for me because let's just go back to the historical standpoint. From a historical standpoint, when you talk about W.E.B. Du Bois, right, and the Renaissance movement in the 1930s, right, you had a lot of blacks that were Renaissance people. They did more than one thing, and when I read about these great authors and these writers and these scholars of the 1920s and 30s that were frequenting places like the Cotton Club, I realized that I probably was in the wrong period of time, because when I got into the film and television industry, I realized that I've surpassed certain individuals in the industry that I was in previous, i.e., music as well as gaming. So I realized, you know what, I'm a Renaissance person. I have to be comfortable in my skin. However, I still have to learn how to do everything, and I have to do stuff right, and I have to be focused. And that was the whole thing that really was getting to me, because I would jump from one thing to the next because I wasn't really satisfied. So I got to the point where, you know what, I had to really sit down and bunker down and be disciplined, and that's where I think my real journey started in my late 30s, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah, no, 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 it does because I'm listen, I'm a dreamer. So I have this show, I have another show, I do the I take photos, so I have a state job working in juvenile justice. I'm an author. So yes, my mind is always working on what the new initiative or the next thing is that I can potentially grow into and expand in, because I know my purpose. I know my calling. Did you know that this was your path, just in terms of the media, in terms of technology, in terms of mathematics, and how that all integral and intertwines into everything that you're doing? Did you know that this area was your pathway? You may not, because again, as you just said, sir, you are continually, and you got to a point where you had to kind of rein yourself in a little bit. But did you know that this was the arena that you were to 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 be in?
Actually, I didn't. And I look back in hindsight when I was 17 years old, and I actually was an intern at the studio, at the multimedia studio,
Yes.
and it was fascinating because I was the only African American male outside of my mentor that was in this particular I guess it was, we call it webinar now, and it was all of these computers in this one particular room that were attached to a VCR. And New York Times had covered it, but basically it was a time period where the company that I was interning for, they provided the hardware that physically was testing streaming a movie through the internet. So I basically saw the first movie documented by the New York Times streamed through the internet around the planet on dial-up. So to speak to your question, I didn't know, but now that I'm in this particular space in terms of streaming TV and the whole Netflix Pluto space, I realized that I think that this was my calling, and you know what? I'm okay with it. You know, I'm very, very complacent. I'm happy that I'm in this particular space, and I think that what I've created and what I'm about to drop on the planet is going to definitely be impactful in the way people engage content globally from their mobile devices.
Absolutely, and we're going to talk about that in just one moment. I got to ask you because I got a few more things, and I'm probably going to have to ask you to come back because there's so much I want to ask you on our show. But
sure, no problem.
I want to ask you because, again, your journey has been amazing, and sometimes people look at those who have achieved so at a height, they're like, wow, their journey, but they don't understand the late nights. They don't understand the nights with no sleep. They don't understand the
That's right.
sacrifices. They don't understand what you had to give up. They don't understand what you lost. They don't. So, tell me about your experience and your journey because when I read your bio, it's like, wow, everything that this young man did, he excelled at. Was there anything that you attempted to do, or that you took a step, and you did not exceed the way that you thought that you would? And if so, how did you respond to that?
Well, there's a lot of things that I didn't exceed at. I didn't exceed successfully. Well, I mean that's all objective. You know how do you rate success, right?
Wow,
So I rate
yes.
success by the goals, the mini goals that I achieve throughout the day. Get up, make my bed, right? You know, brush my teeth. That's a goal, right? So that's successful in my opinion, as opposed to, reaching a milestone of 1 million subscribers, downloading my app, right? So my mind is different now. So in hindsight, there were a couple of instances in which I tried a couple of initiatives with partners that didn't put the 150% that I put in, and we failed basically. And I failed because, in my mind, because I wasn't a good judge of character in terms of the right partner to pick. They didn't have the ambition. They didn't stay up late at night. So what I did, this is the key word, I had to learn how to pivot. I had to learn how to create this sixth sense internally to say, you know what, this person is not putting his or her all into what we said we would do as a team. And I had to learn how to pivot and say, you know what, because with my sign, I'm very emotional. When I'm part of a project, especially in business, I get emotionally attached to it. And if people are attached to them, so I had to learn how to even create this type of barrier so that I can protect myself in terms of dealing with people in business. So I had to learn how to pivot. And that's what I did, throughout my journey. I said, you know what, I'm not going to do this to myself anymore, give my all. And this person or these groups of people aren't giving their all. They're relying on my intellectual property to create some type of revenue stream for them and letting me do all the work. And yet still we're giving each other fair partnership. So it just didn't make sense to me. So I just was pivoted. And that was basically the solution. And now I'm okay. Now I'm in a better space. So I can be at the round table at the Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg.
Jason, listen. I think your book is going to be learning how to pivot. Listen, I'm telling you.
Right.
When you listen,
right.
when you said that, I saw that on a cover of a book, learning how to pivot, because that's what a lot of us don't know how to do. We get stuck. We take a step, or we invest so much time or money or resources, and we're like, oh, it didn't work, and we give up. Or it's like, you know what, I can't take the next step or change a direction and go into so listen. If you write this book, I'm telling you, I think the title should be "Learning How to Pivot." But I'm just want to throw that out at you.
Learning how to pivot. Yeah, definitely. And that's what I try to impress upon young people. You have to learn how to pivot.
Yes.
First, you have to learn how to speak English, right?
Yes.
That's number one. Because learning how to communicate with people that speak a specific language, is key,
Yes.
especially if you live in a particular country in which the predominant language is, let's say, in this case, English, right?
Yes.
So you have to learn how to speak English in order to convey your message. So our kids, especially with kids of color, they don't know how to conform because no one's teaching them how to conform, especially in certain environments. That's why our kids get shut out. We have a lot of STEM programs that are out here in America today, which is cool. I get it. But our kids still don't know how to speak English.
Right.
They don't know how to convey the message
Yes.
for their ideas. A kid has an app idea. He doesn't know how to convey that message properly.
Right.
So then you have a group of individuals that know how to convey that message, would then take the kid's IP or intellectual property,
Yes.
and now what happens?
That's right.
The kid really doesn't make the money he can make because they're not being taught how to convey the message. So that's the first thing that needs to be learned. And then, of course, the various different elements of learning how to pivot, and that obviously comes with experience and some guidance.
Right. Awesome. Listen, I got so many questions, but tell us about
Sure.
Open Vision Networks International Online Incorporated, because I'm telling you right now, y'all, this young man, he has, get ready, and Netflix, Hulu, but listen, I'm telling you, Open Vision Networks International Online. So please tell us about this amazing venture.
So thank you very much. And Open Vision Networks International is the company. We say Avnio,
Yes.
and Avnio basically was a brainchild of mine when I was in the film industry. And what I basically did was I realized that there were a lot of people in film and television that wanted to, and this is when the MySpace era was kind of big.
Yes.
You had a lot of filmmakers that were independent, were trying to get their films distributed by major distribution houses in Hollywood. And I said to myself, you know what, I can potentially help these people, but I need them to have some sort of data or metrics behind them. So I would, because I'm a marketer, I would say, you know what, market your trailer on MySpace, or on YouTube and kind of get the numbers behind it. And then I can potentially get you into a meeting with like Lionsgate Films or someone like that or some firm like that. And then I said, it just hit me like a ton of bricks. So I was like, you know what? Let me just basically create my own platform in which I can help my friends from independent films put it on this television platform or a TV network. It just started out as a singular television network, and just track the metrics, and then take that data and compile it into a nice deck for my friends, and then walk them into these movie houses that I have relationships with. And so one thing led to another. And as you know, my mind is splintered. So I said, you know what? And getting back to my dad, in terms of how he taught me, if you're going to learn something, you're going to get into an industry, learn the entire industry. Keep in mind, now I'm in the television space, but I'm in the television space from a distribution standpoint because I'm dealing with my friends who needed distribution. So what did I do? I went back to my Barnes and Noble days, but this time we have the internet. So I went on and had like 5 windows open, and I just started studying, the business of cable, Comcast, Spectrum. I started studying the business of how television networks did deals with the cable companies so that I could help my friends out. And I realized, it hit me like a ton of bricks, that wait a minute, the platform that I'm building is a cable platform, is a distribution mechanism. And because I had the understanding of algorithms and creating software that can get people to watch television, that's when the idea of Avnio really started to manifest and mature into a social television network where users can physically socialize as they watch my friends' television series or television shows as well as movies simultaneously while they engage with one another in real time. I'm able to help my friends out as well as I'm able to share the data with advertisers and obviously make money all in one particular business model. And that's literally how the idea came about from studying what people were missing.
I love it. And you can register actually at www.avnio.tv.
TV. That's correct.
Yes.
Yep. So
So
right
again,
now,
that's
and
OVNIO
just let me
TV.
just put in perspective where we are right now is we are building out the native app so that we can launch in the second quarter of next year. And the reason why we're launching next year as opposed to this year now is because of what has happened with Facebook in terms of getting fined, $5 billion by the government with privacy policy issues. Because what people don't understand now, anyone who's in the streaming TV space as well as the social networking space, a lot of users, their information is being captured. Google's capturing their information. Everyone's capturing their information. So now, because we are a company that not only captures the information of the user who watches our television channels, we also capture habit. So we're coming from a standpoint of, if Facebook is getting fined and everyone's like really just running for the hills because they don't have these algorithms built in order to capture the data and share the data with the users if they want it, we need to be ahead of the curve. And that's how I'm always thinking, with my team, we need to be ahead of the curve. So we're ahead of the curve in terms of creating algorithms where our users, if they want their data, they can physically extrapolate their data of what they've watched, and we just be a transparent streaming service as opposed to, saying, hey, we don't need to do it to you. We're like this big bag tech firm. No. We want to basically be transparent with our subscribers and say, this is the data you can have if you want it, and literally be the forerunners of tomorrow's data analytics.
Well, all I can say, Jason, is that to the world, watch out, because here he comes. I'm excited and about what you're doing and what's to come and the opportunity. And if anybody can figure it out, I know you can. And because this is what I love about you is you continue to search. And I love that about you is that you continue to search and find a way or find the opportunity or find, as you said it, the gap, what was missing, and so that's powerful. I have to ask you because, again, this show is about encouraging people, one, to know that they have the permission to dream. And then secondly, once they know that, how to take that step and to encourage them to take that step. So I got to ask you, what would you say are like the 3 or 5, however many characteristics that you think that it takes for a person to take that step and launch out? Because people are listening to you now. They're watching live and they're hearing you, or they're calling into the show and they're saying, how did you get to that place? What are the characteristics that you would say that one needs to have in order to take that step?
Well, the first characteristic is discipline.
Wow.
You have to be disciplined, right?
Yes.
So you have to be disciplined in terms of the most minute things throughout the course of your day. And that's from when you get up in the morning, what do you do first? Do you make your bed or do you go directly to work, on your computer for your idea? If you go to work, towards your idea, I get that. But take a step back and create some time, some self-time for yourself, basically. Go into a space in your mind and say, okay, I'm getting ready to attack the world regarding my idea. You have to be disciplined in that particular regard. And that's what I do. I get up and I say, what, before I even jump up and I really want to hit the computer, I want to start writing software, I want to, create some algorithms, whatever, I have to say to myself, okay, how am I going to be effective today? So I have to be disciplined in that particular regard. So as I get up out of the bed, I turn around, I got to make my bed, right? Because I can't look at a messy bed because then my mind is going to be messy because I'm a visual person. So one characteristic is you have to be disciplined, all right? And that's some of the advice I would give someone who is listening to me right now. Secondly, is determination. You have to be determined. You have to be determined and see the goal. Yes. Visually. Do you see yourself on red carpet? Do you see your app being released on the Android and the iPhone and the App Store, the Google Play Store? If you see it, then it can be accomplished. Absolutely. So the second characteristic would have to be determination. You have to be determined to take those necessary steps, whatever it is, in terms of walking, or learning how to pivot, walking left or walking right. As long as you're going towards that end goal, and the end goal is for your app to be released on these major platforms so that the whole world can see, your idea, then so be it. You have to be determined, you know. And I guess the last characteristic is literally love. You have to love what you do, because
Wow.
if you think that you're you're working, then you won't get to the goal. You'll literally give up, you know. And what a lot of people do is they hear about the end goal accomplishments of an app being sold for $10 million, or this guy got 400 downloads on WhatsApp, and he sold WhatsApp to Facebook, for $24 billion. Well, that guy, that Russian immigrant, right, who made Mark Zuckerberg pay him that money, he was determined, and he was disciplined. But more importantly, he had the love, right? He loved what he did,
Yes.
because he wanted to talk to his family in Russia and pass images and text messages through your cell phone, through his little app. But what happened? Because he loved it so much, he kept pushing it, and people loved what he did.
Yes.
They downloaded 400 million times, and Facebook said, "Oh, you know what? This might be something that we can add to our portfolio," and that's when they bought it. So you have to be disciplined, you have to be determined, and you have to love what you do. And if you don't love what you do, then you know what? Go get a job, because it just won't work.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
that's fine if you want to get a job, but you have to love what you do. So those are three characteristics that I would recommend anyone to really impress upon.
Awesome. Awesome. Listen, I have to ask you, where, without divulging any secrets, where, where,
Sure.
where do you see yourself next? Because I know I I don't I don't know you personally, but hearing your journey, I know that there's more for you. So where do you see yourself? Where do you see this company? Where do you see? Because as you said, and I'm always advocating on this show, is about, as you said, sir, is seeing. Now, I might not see everything in detail, all the pixels, but I know what direction that I'm going into, and I know there's something on the other side of the door that I'm going. So where do you see yourself next? Because I can only imagine. Where do you see yourself
Okay.
next?
That's a great question. And let me just put this in perspective. I've been working on Avia with my dad, right, for 13 years, right? 13 years. We've been pivoting. We turned down over $1.2 billion worth of acquisition funding because we didn't want to be that black family tech company that gets acquired, and just be in the backdrop. We didn't want to do that. We didn't want to be those black technologists, that created remote control and you don't know about it. So we've been at it for 13 years. So now we're here, right? So within the next 5 years, to answer your question, I see myself, I see the company making a lot of strides in the public eye by way of letting young people know that come from destitute environments, the inner cities around America, being a poster child for that child, white, black, Spanish, Asian, that comes from impoverished areas around America. Especially because we're in a tech world. We have, these kids have access to information, which is the number one commodity, information. So I see myself being a poster child for that particular type of person, and saying to them, hey, listen, I've been through a lot, with my family and by myself, and you can do it too. You have it easier than I did because you have a cell phone. So, you literally can stay in the house all day as opposed to playing Fortnite, right? Or one of those video games. You can literally work on, making the new Fortnite, because all this information is accessible at your fingertips. You can literally call celebrities up on their Instagram and say, hey, I want to engage you. I want to learn what you know. And so I see myself 5 years from now being that particular person that galvanizes a movement of young people that would love, or that want to love what they do, that don't know how to do it, but give them some type of guidance and direction by way of, like you stated earlier in the question, giving them certain characteristics to abide by, learning various different pivotal, what's the right word? Because I have like so many thoughts, but it's a great question. But learning various different characteristics so that they can basically achieve their goals, no matter if they come from, the trailer park or if they come from the hood.
Yes.
I see myself 5 years being that person, not just being a billionaire. Yeah, the billions, that's easy to get. Let me just say, it's not easy for everyone because you still have to be disciplined.
Right.
Getting millions of dollars is easy. Getting billions, it takes it takes more discipline than just, going after billions, especially in this day and age, because you have so many obstacles.
Yes.
So I see myself in 5 years being that particular poster child that represents that particular kid who comes from the concrete jungle and says to that kid, hey, listen, if you want to be a game developer, if you want to be a software engineer, if you want to be a marketer, you can be that person and you can create your own environment. And that's basically where I see myself.
I love it. I love it. Listen, I got about 6 minutes left, Jason, but I gotta. I'm gonna try to get at least three more questions. And I gotta ask you, what did it cost you? What did this journey cost you? I'm not gonna say what you lost, what you sacrificed. That might be some of the terminology that you might want to use. But what did it cost? Because everybody sees, you where you are. You're like, wow, Jason. Yeah, he went through. He had a, mom and dad. But what did it cost you to get here?
Oh, you lose friends, of course. You lose friends, a lot of friends. You lose sleep. So it cost me a lot of sleep, a lot of sleepless hours. There's a lot of man hours put in. There's a lot of sweat equity, and there's a lot of hard cash. So in terms of cost, if you put a dollar amount, I won't even put a dollar amount. I'll put a cryptocurrency amount. So we're looking at least 30 million, equivalent to 30 million Bitcoins,
Wow.
that,
Wow.
that we lost in the last 13 years. Because when you're building a company, you pay out of pocket, especially when you don't have investors,
Right. Right.
Even if you have small shareholders or small investors, you still have to pay out of pocket, because you have what is called a burn rate. You burn through money on a monthly basis because you have to still survive, you have to still eat, so forth and so on. And if you love what you do, you don't really feel, you feel the pinch, don't get me wrong, you're going to feel the pinch, but that's what separates you from the rest.
Wow.
So
Wow.
that's basically what it cost me, 30 million Bitcoins.
Wow. Wow. Listen, I have to ask you. This is because, by the age of 19, you're in this realm with very, very high prominent companies and individuals in the industry. Again, as I mentioned before, from Mary J. Blige to various record companies, from Sony to Columbia to, again, Jay-Z and such. How, again, for those listening, how did you maintain your day-to-day level of maturity and composure? Because I see so many young people who have attained to a place and they get lost. They get consumed by the environment and by the atmosphere. How did you maintain yourself in terms of your integrity, in terms of who you are in that moment? Again, I don't know if your parents were with you or if you had friends that you trusted physically with you or if you were out there on your own and you like how did you maintain yourself in that environment?
But that's a great question. My parents were always around, on some level. I always had a direct line, especially to my dad. And it's only not because my mom and the women in my family didn't know how to deal with that element.
Right.
It's just that when you're dealing in an element that's predominantly male-driven and aggressive males, hip-hop is a male-driven industry, specifically in the 90s. You needed somebody who was strong. So by having my dad having a direct line, when I got my office on Wall Street at the age of 21, I had a staff of 1,200 employees, right?
Wow.
Because I had 15 record labels that were my clients. And so with regards to having a father who is strong, who's been through the wars, been through civil rights, who's been through everything, it helped me to understand the types of individuals I was dealing with and to maintain a level of integrity. Specifically because when you're dealing with individuals that had no regard, obviously, for life, the human life, they had no regard for women, so I would, have these candid conversations with my dad, and say, hey, why does this person act this way? And why is this guy doing this? Why would he do that? And my dad, because he had, knowledge of just, coming from uptown and, being an entrepreneur himself, he was able to give me these various different, as the young people say, jewels, right? These jewels on how to survive in that particular industry, because hip hop itself wasn't like the music industry with country music or pop. It was like the streets. So, and these kids, these artists were getting deals, and they were just coming out of jail, or they were, they just had no problem, with violence. And so I was able to keep my sanity because I had somebody that I can just call on and say, hey, why is I acting like this? Especially dealing with like the gay industry in hip hop, and the homosexual industry, and the transgender industry in hip hop. I had to learn how to deal with all of that and just say, oh, okay, that's how that goes. Okay, I'm just the marketing guy, you know what I mean? But it helped me. It helped me understand human behavior. It helped me understand people by having that particular line to a strong figure like my dad, who helped me in terms of guiding me through these various different pivotal moments in hip hop. Wow. Especially working for 80 platinum artists. So a lot of personalities to deal with. Trust me.
Absolutely. Well, listen, we're just about to close of our show, and
thank you.
I want to thank you so much for coming on our show. And in the last 30 seconds or so, I just want to give you the platform again for the young person that's watching, or even the adult that still hasn't taken that step to follow their dream. What would you say to encourage them?
What I would say to, if you're listening to me, trust no one. Always research. Research everyone. If someone says they could do something for you, you do a background check. You just don't trust Google. Trust your instinct first, and then go research them. If you don't know how to research, learn how to research that person and love what you're doing. Protect yourself. Protect yourself first and foremost by not trusting everyone. Because at the end of the day, when you have a great idea and you love what you're doing, you get blindsided because you love what you're doing, and you open your arms to someone who may not be the right person for you. I'm talking from experience by being jerked, a couple of times with my technology. But you live and you learn. So if you're a young person, or if you're an older person that wants to get into the business of creating your own anything, just keep a protective guard over everything, and just say, you know what? I would love to do business with you. However, I just need to do some background checks, and make sure that people sign agreements with you, and protect yourself. And that's literally the advice I want to give everybody who's listening.
Awesome. Thank you, Jason. Listen, Jason, are there any other social media sites that you want to share with us? We've got the www.avneo.tv.
Avneo.tv, yes. So we're coming out with the app next year. So you could just follow us on any social media platform, from Instagram to Facebook to Twitter to Pinterest. Just follow our hashtag, our hashtag OVNIO. And that's basically it. And I appreciate this conversation, Troy. I definitely will be interviewing you next.
Well, thank you so much. I so appreciate you. Listen, everybody, this is the amazing Jason A. Swanston. Thank you so much, sir, for your time. We honor it. We appreciate you. And again, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Have a great
Thank you very much. And God bless you. Thank you, Troy. Thank you. Bye-bye.
God bless you, Jason. Listen, y'all, this is Inspiration with Troy Alexander. One more time. We're getting ready to go off. Thank you so much. We love you. We appreciate you. Have a great night. And I'll see you not next Monday, but the following Monday. Have a great weekend holiday. God bless.